We know the participants now for both the men's and the women's Elimination Chamber matches. And aside from predicting who we think might win the chamber, I thought it'd be a lot of fun to go through all these participants and discuss with you, what do we think their story for WrestleMania is going to be? Not everyone's going to win the chamber, so I thought, let's take a look at where they could end up. The women's Elimination Chamber match. The participants are Roxanne Perez, Bailey, Naomi, Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan, and Alexa Bliss. I don't really have a front runner right now for predicting like who's going to win this thing, because I think everybody's got kind of, it's a clean slate almost of like who they could go up and challenge Rhea for that title. And each story could bring something different. If Roxanne Perez gets eliminated in the chamber, I do see her maybe going after Bailey. I know that has been kind of the story they've been doing across NXT. Roxanne just made debut on Monday Night Raw, having a singles match, getting the qualifier match, won, beat Raquel Rodriguez. She is in the chamber. But I don't feel like Roxanne necessarily would end up winning the chamber match and going off to fight Rhea Ripley. Could be done, be an excellent story, and it's a way to super shoot somebody to the very top when they just came into the division. But I likely see Roxanne going off to have something with Bailey, maybe somebody else, but it'd be kind of a quick turnaround, and that is the baked in story here. So I kind of think that Roxanne should go after Bailey. Now, speaking of Bailey, who's also in the chamber, you could do Bailey versus Rhea. If Bailey wins the chamber, that could be a lot of fun. I don't see that as the big WrestleMania match for Rhea Ripley. I do think that Bailey and Roxanne will have that moment in the chamber, might cost each other their moment in the chamber match, get eliminated, sending the two of them off to go and fight and have a whole thing at WrestleMania. That match, now if we're gonna fantasy book further down the road, I think that the match between Roxanne and Bailey would be an excellent way to get Roxanne over. Bailey has won at WrestleMania. She is like the glue of the women's division. You can put her in anything. She can take losses. I think that if you had Roxanne go over at Mania over Bailey, that is going to move Roxanne up quite a bit in a very short amount of time. Okay, let's talk about Naomi and Bianca kind of together, right? Because they are the women's tag team champions. They're having tag team title matches. There is the story once again of who took out Jade Cargill. They finally brought that up. Nick Aldis revealed it on TV. He looked at the television and he's like, Liv and Raquel were there. They were in parking lot. And Nick had some troubles with the TV once or twice. It happens to all of us. I don't see Naomi winning. I can see Bianca winning the chamber. That would be really interesting because Rhea and Bianca have had a little bit of a back and forth over the last couple of years. When they've both been respective champions, they both kind of cross paths a little bit, but we haven't done that match yet. Bianca is also undefeated at WrestleMania, whether it's singles or tag. And I do believe Bianca will be at WrestleMania, but it's hard to decide because I could see Bianca winning the chamber, and then it gets very interesting of what direction she will go with in terms of the tag team titles, what's going to happen there for the world title. Is she going to be a double champion? And then the relationship with Naomi and the X factor of, not X factor like X-Pac, but the X factor of having Jade looming in the background. Maybe Jade makes an appearance at Elimination Chamber and confronts Bianca and Naomi. They're denying that they did anything, that they pushed her through car. I am of the belief that it was Naomi and Bianca doing it together, taking out Jade together so that they could become tag champions doing that. Could be Naomi making her a heel, and then you have Naomi and Jade one-on-one at WrestleMania, and then you have Bianca and Rhea one-on-one at WrestleMania for the title. But I think that I kind of feel like Bianca and Naomi would be in a tag team thing going into Mania, and they go up against Jade Cargill. What sense does it make if it wasn't Bianca and Naomi attacking Jade? Like, what's gonna happen? They just point and they're like, Liv actually did it, and they're like, okay, well, we already beat them. But I wouldn't be surprised if in the chamber itself, Naomi, Bianca, they're in there together, and Jade's music hits, and she confronts them, and they're all trying to act all like happy, and Jade, whoop-ah, and she takes them out, and then off we go. So then you got Liv Morgan and Alexa Bliss. Now, Liv and Rhea, we have lived that story, no pun intended with Liv, but we have gone through that story for a year. Judgment Day, Rhea Ripley, Dominic Mysterio, it's had its ups, it's had its downs, but here we are nonetheless. And I think that Liv is doing a better job, I guess, pivoting or moving over to the tag team side of things. I'm enjoying her and Raquel as a tag team, fighting in that division. You are putting in the story now of Liv and Raquel versus Bianca and Naomi. And again, WWE might just go with, that's the plan, that it's Liv and Raquel took out Jade. Don't see the sense of it, but they might. And I could see a multi-woman tag team title match at Mania involving Liv and Raquel, challenging multiple people for the tag titles. It'd be a good spot for Liv. I don't see her winning chamber. I would be surprised if they pull the trigger again and Liv wins the Elimination Chamber, fights Rhea Ripley one more time. I don't see the sense of going through that story again when we have seen it over and over again, just to see in the ring Rhea Ripley retain the title and defeats Dom Mysterio, gives him a riptide like we've seen, and does it again to Liv Morgan, ends the whole thing, and Rhea's triumphant. I feel like she's firmly with the tag titles. And that leaves Alexa Bliss as the final female competitor in this chamber. I feel like with Bliss, they are doing something with Uncle Howdy. They're gonna do something with the Wyatts on SmackDown. Does that mean that she can't cross over and go after the world title? Absolutely. WWE is not averse to this. The transfer windows are just endless here. It would be, I don't think, and it also doesn't make sense to me that the Wyatts as a character faction, that they care about transfers. Like Bo Dallas filled out paperwork with the Wyatt 6 and was like, hey, yeah, we agree, we will all stay on SmackDown. They're all chaos and they're supposed to be everywhere. Now they're firmly on SmackDown, we haven't even seen them yet. I think they're waiting to do something with Bliss. Could Alexa Bliss go after Rhea Ripley? Alexa Bliss was like one of the most popular people at the Royal Rumble on the women's side. She got the biggest reactions. She's extremely popular. She just came back. It's a great name. It's a great opponent for Rhea Ripley. You can have elements of the Wyatts. You could tell almost a double story of not only Alexa Bliss trying to go after the world title against Rhea, but the influence of the Wyatts coming at her and what happens to her along the way. So it's not really clean cut, but that's why I'm like, I can't predict this thing right now. I really don't know who would win the women's chamber. All right, let's look at the men's chamber. Before we do that, guys, if you can help me out, over 50% of you check out the channel, but you don't hit the subscribe button. It would mean a lot if you hit that little bad boy right there. We're trying to get to the road to WrestleMania and get to 50,000 subscribers, so I'd appreciate your support. If you enjoy content here, it's free. Hit that button. Let's go. The men's chamber, we got Logan Paul. We've got Seth frickin' Rollins now, who beat Finn Balor on Raw. That was a great match. We got CM Punk, John Cena, Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre. What could be their road to WrestleMania? This one, I feel, has a lot more at stake in terms of where everyone's story could go. I want to start though with Damian Priest. Really interested to know what their plan is. Based on the internet and the reports on the internet thing, it's that WWE is kind of cold on the idea of Drew versus Priest at WrestleMania one-on-one. I don't really see it either. I think Priest should kind of pivot, and if he loses at Chamber, which I think he might, go off and fight in the US title. Make a multi-man match for the United States Championship. Make it a ladder match or something fun. Like do Nakamura, LA Knight, Damian Priest, maybe Drew McIntyre. Get Priest into the US title scene. He can get into a multi-man match, be a great match. I think Priest will do very well in the chamber. Don't see him winning to go beat Cody. I don't know if I really see him going after Drew McIntyre. What do you think? For me, it doesn't really, I don't know, they're not really playing with it that much. I think they might have tried to, but I just don't see that story clicking because I think Drew should be doing more at WrestleMania. Now we'll talk about Drew in a second, but I don't see it for Damian Priest. I'm kind of lukewarm on it. I think he should be probably in a multi-man match at Mania. US title might fit him. He's been United States champion before, but I'm saying being in that match and mixing it up with a bunch of other people could be a good spot for him, or a better spot than just a Drew McIntyre one-on-one match. So let's talk about Drew McIntyre. He's very interesting to me because he was one of my favorites for all of 2024. I loved his whole story. He got a little bit injured in there, but so did CM Punk, and they told an amazing story for the entire year. 3 matches, got a big series of matches, and when Drew pivoted and decided like, hey, CM Punk is going to be the focus, his character changed, and it evolved even more after Seth Rollins and that whole feud. And it really started to break him out into this giant main eventer that I think he's always been. But then the CM Punk stuff ended, and then we saw Drew go away for a little bit, came back, and there was a promo he did, and he was becoming Bloodline Hunter. He was going around and he was Claymore, and he was taking out everybody associated with the bloodline. He took out Sammy, he took out Jay, he took out Jimmy, he didn't take out Roman, he took out almost everybody from the bloodline or associated with that. And I was like, ooh, this is gonna be fun, and my hands did that thing. And then I thought, man, you could see Drew versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania, kind of finishing Drew's story of like, I'm taking out everyone that has helped the bloodline, I hate them all, so I'm going after everybody. Really like that. Or Drew and Sammy and Kevin Owens and all of, like, there was a lot of options I thought they could have done with Drew. Then I feel like they just kind of stopped and they got focused on the Royal Rumble with Drew. Then they were maybe gonna do the Damian Priest storyline, and now it's kind of what's gonna happen to Drew McIntyre. I think Drew needs a big spot at WrestleMania. Could he, if he's gonna lose at the Chamber, like, is he gonna go after LA Knight? Not against it. Kind of like to see, once again, I mentioned multi-man match for US title. I can see Nakamura, LA Knight, Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest, roll them together in a big cluster of a match. Maybe Drew wins the United States Championship at Mania. and takes them all out. Then you have big opponents for him. He can be a dominant US champion, gets a singles title. You can have Priest try to chase and go after Drew. You can have LA Knight going after him. A lot of different options there. I just wish that Drew was seemingly going to be going for big title or giant singles match at WrestleMania, but he's had the Seth feud and he's had the CM Punk feud, and I just don't see him winning and going off and doing that. Unfortunately, that's just what I see. I'm like, he's gonna go down, he's gonna be mid-carding it somewhere. Okay, let's talk about Logan Paul. Logan Paul is interesting. I think he's going to be very interesting in this whole chamber match, and I think that he's going to be a foil for a lot of people, much like we saw at the Royal Rumble where he got eliminations in. I think they will use Logan Paul like that. With Logan Paul getting in there, I think he will screw certain people over in the Elimination Chamber, and maybe that is a Drew McIntyre, and then you just get a really pissed off Drew McIntyre who's going to Claymore and take out Logan Paul at WrestleMania. Maybe that's a match they want to do, since they may not have something for Drew McIntyre at this point. Logan Paul, if he does something big where they give him all the heel heat, you could have him eliminate John Cena. If he eliminated Cena and that stops that plan for WrestleMania, then I think you would get Logan Paul versus John Cena at Mania. It's a rumored match they wanted a while ago. I don't personally love it because I think the fun, better story right now is to tell John Cena versus Cody at Mania, but I feel like they're going to use Logan Paul somewhere in that chamber to get a big time elimination. We have done Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul. We have teased Logan Paul versus CM Punk. I don't think they want to do that match at Mania. So maybe it will be something like Logan Paul versus Drew McIntyre at Mania. Maybe Logan Paul eliminates Drew with a roll up with some sneaky cheap win, and Drew gets the shock face again and comes out next week and he just dummies Logan Paul with a Claymore. Okay, so Seth Rollins. Seth, I feel like this chamber match for the men is awesome because of the different story elements and the different directions they can go and the eliminations and what impact they can have. So like if Punk eliminates Seth, well, it's just like when he pinned him on Raw. We've already been there, done that. So I'll say if Seth doesn't win, however that happens, and whoever does it, maybe it's Logan Paul, a little comeuppance. Seth, I don't know what they're gonna do at Mania. We know that the rumored match is, or one of them anyways, is Seth versus Punk versus Roman, triple threat. Maybe a main event at WrestleMania. No title involved, just three guys hate each other. Could do that. It's Seth's last chance to get to WrestleMania. If Seth did win the chamber, him versus Cody, hey, there's a huge built-in story there, but I don't feel like that is the big Night 2 WrestleMania main event. I could see Seth getting eliminated maybe by Roman Reigns coming in and costing him. That's what I could see happening. Roman just comes into the chamber, hits a spear to Seth, and it's payback for the double stomp at the Royal Rumble. And Roman just walks out, and then you get Roman versus Seth at WrestleMania, and they could finish their story arc together. That's my one thing. I don't know how else he can get eliminated, but I think something big and shocking can happen at Chamber for all these guys involved. So CM Punk. CM Punk is the next interesting one because I can see him winning the Elimination Chamber. I am a Punk fan, but I could also see very clearly that John Cena could win because that is a clear-cut story to Mania main event. Punk, there are rumblings online anyways of like, it's the internet, but you have the rumblings of Punk versus Cena versus Cody, triple threat at Mania. I feel like that's a little muddy. I think it would work. Like, I think they could pull it off and tell an amazing story, especially if Cena's not there every single week to cut promos, get involved. Then you got Punk and Cody. They can cut a lot more promos together and really heat this thing up. But I feel like that Night 2 main event, one-on-one match is nice and clean, and that's a fun direction to go. Triple threats can totally work. They could be a lot of fun. We've had really awesome triple threats in the past that have totally worked. But for Punk, he could win the chamber, go off to WrestleMania, one-on-one against Cody Rhodes. They have done promos back and forth together. That story has been built. It's very easy. They could do that. And then Cena would go off and fight Logan Paul or do something else for Mania and maybe get his title down the road this year. See, if Punk loses, like if Punk just loses clean, like Cena pins him, let's just say, or Logan Paul pins him, what's he doing? He's not going to go and just do a one-on-one match against Seth. Probably end up just doing that triple threat of Seth and Roman and Punk all together, and that's probably what I see him doing if he did just full out lose at the Elimination Chamber, because I don't think he's got any last minute things where he could just be like, hey, Paul Heyman, get me into Mania main event. Like, what's he gonna do? We don't know what that favor is from Paul Heyman. I think they will try to use that at the Chamber with Punk some way. If he does lose clean and there's a big question mark of what is his road to WrestleMania, he might come out and point at the sign once again and be like, I don't know. And then he cashes in with Paul Heyman, maybe for that triple threat, or for whatever reason, just gets added to a Cena Cody main event. Then you got John Cena. So John Cena's path feels very straightforward. He lost at Rumble. He announced that he's going into the Chamber, and then he's gonna win. He's gonna get the 17th title. Cena versus Cody, it's a big time babyface match, and it's a dream match, and it's the last time, it's the only time you could ever do this. That's the big hook with WWE right now with John Cena. You have this one shot. Do you want to put John Cena in a non-title match lower on the card for his final WrestleMania, or do you want to squeeze that last bit of Cena out of him for the fans and for the crowd so that they can get him into a main event and potentially win his 17th title? They potentially, because Cody could easily retain, go do something else. Cena rolls back, gets the title at like SummerSlam, for example. But it's your last chance with Cena at a WrestleMania. Where are you going to put him in the card? Logan Paul, I've said, that is an option. You could do Drew McIntyre, but these are all just singles matches at Mania that I don't feel are going to do enough for the fans. They want to see Cena do something big. He's talked about the 17th title. That seems to be his story. So why not compare that story with Cody? If Cena wins, I think he does just go straight up one-on-one against Cody Rhodes at Mania. Maybe wins, but maybe they do it like Cody where he loses the first one, or he comes around at SummerSlam and finally wins it. But if Cena does lose in the Chamber, maybe he gets eliminated by Logan Paul. The heat is then huge on Logan Paul, and there's your match. You could do like Punk eliminates him, and if Punk loses at the Chamber, then you got Cena and Punk one-on-one one more time. Or something totally different and outlandish. Randy Orton. What if Randy gets into the Chamber? Not by qualifying, obviously, but what if he just sneaks in, slides into the Chamber, RKO's John Cena? And they decide to do that as just the one time only, final time ever, last time ever. We're gonna get Randy versus Cena, but there's no title. Now, I don't know how much sense that makes because you have the pile driver of Randy Orton by Kevin Owens. Maybe Randy's gonna go in that direction at Mania or after Mania. But anyways, what do you think are the paths for different superstars in the Chambers? There's a lot of options. That's the exciting part. Let me know. But the other thing is, a lot of people are seemingly not that excited right now for WrestleMania 41. We unpacked that whole topic in this video right here. Have a great day. See ya.